This meeting is being recorded.
Scared me. So good morning, everyone. It's the first SIG Node, the weekly meeting in the May 2022. Today is the May 3rd. So we are going to first finish our 1.25's planning. Now, Ruben and Manu is handed off to you too.
Yeah, let's continue the CAP planning. I think this is where we were last time. So let's just continue here. Add node local plugin support for pod mid handler. Yeah, Sharon, right? Hope I pronounced correctly. So I don't see an owner listed there.
So
sure.
I think Derek also joined. So I think for this one, Derek, I remember we had a chat with Clayton about like he was going to do some write-up, so we may need to sync up to just see the whole thing, the current state and what makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if he has followed up on that, but I would guess we should poke him again.
Okay. So this one doesn't have an owner right now, and we may not be able to get to it unless we have folks signed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can, if we later find the owner, we can update, but at least there's no target, right? It's not required, not like certain things we required.
Right.
Okay, let's move.
Okay, let's move on. Pod level resource limits.
So this one, I think, like David Porter, you were interested in this one. Do you think we have enough time to tackle this, or we should?
Yeah, this is something we were looking into originally. Yeah, I need to take a look at kind of the latest stuff that Cap. I haven't been following it too much. Is the original author still interested in kind of pursuing this, or do we know the current state?
No, I guess we'll have to go through it and see if what the current state is and whether it makes sense to tackle in 125 or maybe do some prep in 125 to actually do the work in 126.
Okay. Cool. I can take action item to kind of follow up with the original Cap owner and kind of ping them.
Okay.
What's the current state? And I can follow up.
Yeah. I think it might be more make sense for us to understand the pod level overhead first, right? So then the pod level of the resource limit is more make sense for the user. So the pod overhead is not complete done, and also not many people start using yet. So we haven't have the much of the feedback for that one. So I think it's reasonable. This is kind of the initially we actually also on purpose, because the pod level resource limit came really long time back, but because we don't understand the overhead, pod level overhead, so that's why we punt on this one. So it's the same reason still stay here, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess we can maybe have pod overhead as prerequisite for this one.
So David, I'm just gonna put your name here to kind of gather more information. That's
okay,
fair.
Cool. I will do
that. Moving on. CPU manager policy to distribute CPUs across NUMA nodes.
Can like Francesco or Swati talk to this one?
I can get in touch with Kevin. I didn't have the chance to do that until now. Sorry about that. I think I need to talk with him to see if he wants to do that. Last time we spoke, we were not sure about the timelines, but I will get in touch with him.
If I remember correctly, he mentioned what he has implementation of that inside NVIDIA, and he just wanted to open it. So it might be like quick thing to do for him.
Yeah, that could totally be the case. Thanks.
Remember, this is for beta. Okay, the target is beta graduation in 125.
So we have like a general feature gate right now, I thought, for all these policy knobs on this. So I don't know if we want a way to group them, but when I was looking at this feature, I didn't think we actually needed a net new feature gate per se. It was like it would just be in that
So I think
umbrella one we had.
this one was alpha in terms of the policy option itself. So we'd have to graduate this particular, or essentially move this option so that it's enabled by default.
Yes, and we need to make sure there is end-to-end test coverage. That's probably the biggest item. But I will, action item on me, I will get in touch with Kevin and we'll clarify this.
Okay, Francisco, I'm just gonna put you on in here and the next step.
Yeah, thanks.
And also Derek also last time we also decouple. And we break this into the several pieces. So try to accelerate progress. And let's follow up with the Kevin and see what's going on. Yeah, we can iterate this.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Dynamic resource allocation. Okay. Pretty. Okay, since there's no owner listed, is Patrick here on the call? Provide some update, or whoever has contact on this one?
I don't see Patrick on the call, but I know what he is working on the prototype on all of this. And Kevin also is also working on the way how to integrate it into device manager and how to do a prototype of protocols, like how to plugin can do a migration part. And a few other people working on this thing as well.
So this one is Kim talked to us right, a couple times, and I just want to say that this one will continue move forward, but looks like we don't have the target deliver in 1.25 so far at least. Do you agree, Alexander, on this one?
Well, if a consensus what we are good to go for 125, I think code will be ready for 125 as alpha implementation. Because we are actively working on it.
Okay, so this sounds like, we are actually actively working on this. Can I just put an owner here if we're planning to do this in 125?
Owner is Patrick, or if we need somebody from SIG leads to be owner or approver for that, when we need to find someone. I don't know who it will be.
Okay, I will be the approver, but we need to find some reviewer for this one. I don't think I have the full time to review this. Yeah, we need some reviewer to help earlier review.
You can probably also put a second owner, Kevin Cruz.
Sure.
All right, moving on. Pod conditions around starting completion of sandbox creation.
Hey, so this is Deep. We had a couple of rounds of review during 1.24. And like the concerns have been addressed in the KEP so far. Just waiting for, I guess, another round of reviews. It's a fairly small feature. But yeah, just start looking for more reviews on the KEP.
Yeah, let's try to move forward with this one.
So I think like one outstanding question that Derek had added was like, do we need this if we add tracing. I'm not sure whether that's answered. Of
Yeah, I think last we discussed this, there were updates made to the proposal that I'm not sure if I have not caught up on yet. I know Alana had feedback on it as well. I don't know if she had caught up on it. I'm not personally convinced we should do this yet, but I look forward to reading the updates, I guess.
Yeah, we identified some use cases where, like, the controller use cases where tracing may not quite help. That's kind of like the main update. And then we simplified the conditions a whole lot too. So it's just like a single condition that just indicates the sandbox ready state.
Yeah, so that's fair. So I think for myself, I just wanted to see if Deep and the other folks who gave review on this were like aligned. But my initial feeling was the argument for was maybe too narrow of a use case, but sounds like there's additional feedback that maybe we can all take a look at and see if we all agree would be useful.
About this cap, I had one comment on the order of this new sandbox creation status and the current initialized status. I was saying maybe there's a chance we can make it right that the initialized status is will be reported after this new sandbox creation. Yeah, I put that comment in the cap. I was asking Elena to take a look, but she's out now. Maybe someone else can help. See if it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think honestly, the thing I struggle with is, in total transparency, is I kind of view the sandbox as an implementation detail of the kubelet, and it kind of upsets me that we have to expose the concept into the end user API. So at like some almost like spiritual level, I feel like we messed up if we have to do that. I know we already exposed the concept of sandbox elsewhere and like error messages or condition reasons, but that's personally one of the things I struggle with on this one is how much of the end user API should have to know about the implementation detail.
Yeah, I agree with you, Derek. I also worry about this is kind of like the open of the scan of the wall, like the people treat the sandbox as instant as the because it's implement detail as part of pod concept, right? So I worry about this one move become to should I say so become to like the smaller scheduling target instead like the object we want to schedule. The pod is suppose it is object smaller is the scheduling unit, but we could some people may be later because we go too far, and this is become to the target we want to schedule job to. This is my concern, and if we expose this too much to the customer. So that's why I want to, but I also say that because sometimes the sandbox level of the problem make customer support much harder. So I want to find the middle ground. And the middle ground, then how we are going to solve the support issue and bump up certain things, but at the same time not expose this as the detail of the object customer can manipulate.
Yeah, great point. So I called out several use cases where we, as a sort of like end user of Kubernetes, found this pretty useful. And yeah, like basically like downstream customers were concerned, like, what's up with certain plugins? Like, are they actually like plugins as in CNI or CSI plugins? Are they preparing everything that's necessary for the pod at the right time? And what we found is the existing initialized condition, as I think Kitang just mentioned, does not reflect that correctly. So this was sort of one way of surfacing this, both from a stats perspective, that's something like Csi Metrics can surface, as well as something that very specific controllers can also consume to determine what they need to do when a pod they're managing is failing at a certain state, and sort of optimize the set of things they can get away with doing.
Yeah, that makes sense, Steve. So I think just have to catch up on the latest iterations you had there, but maybe if we refine this, we can find ways to, whether the sandbox itself is a thing we want to say exists, or the attributes of the sandbox is the thing that exists. Just from a,
Yeah.
I feel silly for saying it, but having worked on Cube for such a while, it's like, I never thought of sandbox as an end user facing concept versus
Eric, my read of I've been reading through it. It looks to me like it's more of a, they just left the pod part out of it, right? It's just not saying pod sandbox.
Oh yeah, we can totally rename the condition if that's the concern.
Yeah, I don't think it's really trying to drive into the sandbox nature, right? Or have the implementation detail. I think it's just saying when the pod has been started, other metrics are available, such as networking, before any other containers are created. Or I think that's what's going on here.
Exactly. Like it was mainly inspired by the interesting aspect we saw in the initialized condition, which didn't quite give us an accurate picture of what was going on. And like we wanted to maintain backward compatibility and sort of like, sandbox ready or pod ready. I mean, pod ready is, I guess, already kind of taken. But yeah, this step is basically geared towards like exploring an alternative condition that tries to fix some of the observations around initialized that we found were sort of inaccurate. But maybe they had a reason for the way it is.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I'll review it. I think it's sometimes useful to like talk about the emotional response to a term, and that was just my emotional response of like, oh, man, I wish we weren't exposing the concept of a sandbox versus like the attributes of the pod that are present at that point in time. And the other thing, like in my emotional response, would be like sandboxes can get torn down and brought back up in the life of a pod. And for that, it was like, ooh, in my own mental state, that's an overloaded concept versus like, very prescriptive or less overloaded terms for me personally. Others can feel differently, but I just, that was one of my struggles with that deep. So maybe we can iterate on it.
Yeah.
But that concern actually is valid concern. Yeah, I do think about the sandbox should be exposed to the end user. It's just part of the implemented detail during the pod life cycle, right? So that's good things to share here with the other reviewer here. So yeah. Should we things we want to move forward? I mean, not move forward is not mean like we definitely want to hit the alpha target. It's just continue review, continue iterate the proposal and the implementation. We need to find a reviewer and approver, right, for this one.
Yeah. Jerry, can I put you as a reviewer here, since you just mentioned you're going to review the...
Yeah, we were, both Alana and myself gave initial feedback, so we can continue that. Yeah.
Can we also have some other people volunteer to review besides, because Derek also so overloaded. So, and Derek definitely will be the prover. But can we help community grow more people? And Chu-Tong, since you already looked into this one before, can you take the ownership of the reviewer, the first round of the reviewer and feedback?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, there's also people volunteer. That's great.
I'll put myself here as a reviewer as well.
Sure, thanks. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so move on. I think the next two are the same thing, right? Goes device plugin, add deallocate and post-op container to device plugin API. Let's see. Yeah, we somehow have two PRs or two issues.
I guess, Francesco, do you know the state of this one, or we need to sync with Zvonko?
I think we need to sync with Zvonko.
Okay, all right. Riven, yeah, I'll poke Zvonko on.
Okay, cool. So Zvonko should be the owner. Or this, just want to make sure, are these two the same cap? Because I know Zvonko created this one, but I'm not sure about the other one.
I think there was an old one that Zvonko wanted to pick up. So I think the one that's owned by Zvonko should be the current one.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We also need to figure out the relationship between those, this one and also the dynamic resource allocation, right? So do we want to continue improve this one, or maybe we want that one target all the things?
I think there are some still people who wants to have this deallocate part.
Okay.
And this is quite minimal change to existing device plugin API. So I think Kevin has it almost implemented.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I'll just add the Zvonko as the owner here, which is the owner. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's all of the caps cut from 1.24. So now we can move on to the new caps. Okay. First one, user namespace support.
Yeah. So this one I think should be tracked for alpha. Like the cap is merged, the implementation PRs are open. Rodrigo, are you on? No, he's isn't on, I think.
Okay, cool. So does that mean we're good on this one? So we can move on, talk about the next ones? Okay, cool. Class-based resources and CRI.
Alex, you want to talk to this one?
Oh, we have Marcos on the call.
Oh, okay, all right. Sorry, I didn't see him.
Yeah. I'd like to see this in 125, but this really needs still like discussion in SIG Node, and I was kind of planning to do that next week. Probably we have better time for that. So there were good questions and there are open questions. So, but in terms of the implementation, what currently is in the scope, it's pretty minimal. So as soon as, and if we just get agreement on the terminology and how it should work, then I don't think the implementation is too big, really, but it's probably more of the fundamental concept.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need a follow-up to answer some of the questions that were raised in the last one. So maybe we look forward to the update.
Yeah.
So do we agree about the cluster-based resource first, and or we want to decouple this one and make sure we have that CI move forward?
So Don, I think we didn't reach an agreement whether it entirely makes sense yet, and I think there were some outstanding questions from the first presentation. So then follow up, and then we decide whether we go ahead with it.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah.
Thanks.
But let's see next week probably if we have time. Let's discuss that one.
Cool. Moving on. Runtime assisted mounting of persistent volumes.
Yeah, this is a cap that we've been pursuing quite a bit with SIG storage with some level of SIG Node involvement. The idea here is for cases like Kata, we are exploring, which is micro VM, we're exploring if there's a way CSI plugins can coordinate handing off the mounting of the volumes to the runtime itself, which leads to a much better security posture as well as better performance. That's kind of the high level overview. We initially started off with like a fairly grand mission. I think we have managed to kind of whittle it down quite a bit and like essentially just need a couple of fields that we are looking for in the runtime class that we can, that kubelet can just pass down to CSI plugins. So that's mainly the SIG node aspect that we are looking at, where the runtime can basically advertise that, hey, I do have this ability to mount volumes. So I think during 1.24, I made a presentation and we got some feedback that what is not desired is these runtime class parameters to actually affect any behavior in the pod lifecycle. And some of the updates we're making to the KEP is to ensure that does not happen. It's just a bunch of fields that just needs to be passed down to the CSI plugin, and the CSI plugin makes decisions based on those. That's kind of like where we are, and want to take this forward.
Probably needs a review, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One concern I have is there's the CSI plugin so many versions. We run into a lot of production issue. I believe people using for the user, they are using one CSI plugin, they may don't have the problem. But for the vendor provide to support for CSI plugin, because customer can using whatever CSI plugin. So, so the hand off more to the CSI plugin, and then Kubernetes have less visibility on that what we are doing, and which will affect of the pod lifecycle management. And so that's kind of what we are struggle right now. Even like some of the production issues, we already see that. So I remember you can talk to the SIG Node, and so we need to review those use cases more detail and why we need to hand off more.
Correct. Yeah. Like essentially the context is like CSI plugins today have this ability to basically read the whole pod spec from the API server when they're handling it. And that's how we are kind of working around this. So, but unfortunately, like this pattern of having the CSI plugin like go up to the API server and basically request the whole pod spec and parse it out to figure out what it needs to do is, is not a pattern that the SIG storage community encourages. And so basically having this capability that the runtime can assist with mounting and having it passed down to the CSI plugin just kind of smoothens it out and allows things to be more compliant with like the overall SIG storage recommendation. So that's basically all we're looking for here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, do we need some reviewers here? It sounds like
Don, Derek, what do you think? Should we have a follow-on presentation in one of the upcoming meetings to go deeper on this one?
Yeah, that's what I hope we can do.
Okay, yeah.
How do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I think that sounds fine.
Thanks.
all right. Hold on, kubelet open telemetry tracing.
So Sally is probably not on the call. I can check with her. So she was driving it, and I think she had a PR open.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it didn't make it to 1.24. And...
Right.
Mm. I think we love this one.
Yeah.
we want to push the owner to push forward.
So I think I'll sync with Sally from the Red Hat side, and if we can get a reviewer maybe, and yeah,
I'm happy to take a look at that one.
Okay, awesome. So we can put down
Thanks,
Daniel.
also.
Yeah.
And we also, I think Alana also love to if she available, and also David Dashport definitely love to review this one. We've been talking about this chasing for a long time.
All right, let's move on. Status host IP set it for pod. Shiming, you on the call? Yeah, no owner listed here. Status host IPs.
I remember correctly, we had reached agreement on this one. So is it a question of something didn't make it? Can you scroll down and see if there are any outstanding PRs?
No, I think this is for beta graduation, right?
Oh.
Target for beta, target for alpha for 124, I think.
Okay, so I guess we can check with Zimshing if he's interested in taking it to beta. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. CPU manager options to reject non-SMT aligned workloads.
Francesco.
Yeah, too early to move to the next stage, which should be GA. So just wait for 127 to give a bit more time. So postpone. Okay. Everything else seems good.
Cool.
Okay, Windows Privilege containers. No owner listed here. Let's see.
Oh, that's me, Mark.
Yeah. Yes.
We may look at trying to go to stable in 125. I'm still, we're going to give it another week or two to see if that's what we want to do.
Okay.
I don't think there's any major changes needed.
So Mark, can we just, in this case, because we do have all those requests, right? So we are just want to have the more user input. Let's just try to target 1.25, this one, graduation. Is that okay?
Okay, yep, that makes sense. Yeah, and we've got a lot of different coverage of this scenario with a bunch of different CNIs and components. So I think that makes sense.
Okay.
So Mark, will you be the owner on this one?
Yep.
Okay. And do we have any reviewers?
I can be the
reviewer. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. You can, please.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I can review that one, and worst case, grab some Windows people to help review it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Let's move on. Extend pod resource API report. Allocable resource, Francesco.
Yeah, still me, same reasoning. Need to give some more time. So far, so good, but just aiming for GA in 127, not 25. So next cycle.
127 GA. All right. Let's move on. Okay, we have a bunch of. Add execution node affinity manager support required during scheduling, required during execution. Sarasa, you on the call or whoever has context on this one? There didn't seem to be too much discussion around this here either.
Yeah, I don't remember this being discussed in SIG Node. So maybe we hold on it. Maybe we can just add a comment there if they should update it. If needed.
Anyway, I don't think about we are the driver for this feature. So
Okay,
we just
yeah.
report, right? So once they decided and they came to SIG Node, we say what they required.
Yeah, okay.
Let's move on. Sorry. Non-Gristle, no shutdown.
David.
I think we just landed alpha. Do we want to move to beta or wait?
Yeah, this one I know landed recently. There was a lot of discussion around it.
Yeah,
Right.
so maybe we, I can ask Zing if she wants to move to.
All right. Cool. Moving on. Configurable grace periods. Configurable grace period 2 perps. Yeah, Elena, the owner. Sorry, does anyone have a context on this one?
I don't. This is Ryan from Red Hat. I don't think we're going to work on this release, and so maybe take it out.
Okay.
This is Mike. I'll take a look at it. See if there's anything we need to do in sub-second probes.
Okay. Thanks.
Discussion from there.
But yeah, let us know, Mike, if you have the time to pick it up. Thanks.
Moving on, Kubernetes credential provider.
This one we need to figure out is anyone active on it. It's been there for the past few releases.
Yeah.
I think Matthew wanted to look at it, but he's not here. I can ping him tomorrow.
Okay.
Cool, thanks. Okay, pod priority based and node groups will shut down.
So David, this one I'm thinking we wait in beta. Like I think we probably have some bugs that Ryan and some others are chasing. So see if we need to fix those. And I think the other thing we need to land is the configurable option that missed towards the end of 124.
Yes. Yeah, I think it makes sense to keep it beta for 125 cycle and revisit 126. I agree.
Container notifier. Yep.
Don't think we reached an agreement there, so it will probably need an update to SIG Node. So I'm not sure if it's active right now.
Let me just go to the bottom and see.
Yeah, this one actually, I think all the people want to push forward this one. They're so busy. They don't have the last quote I also follow with some of them. They're just busy with other work, so haven't get around to move forward. Yeah.
Okay. So not active, and probably we don't have capacity for it. Okay. Moving on. Memory manager. Out.
Maybe I can help here. I think we need to clarify the GA graduation criteria, and I'm not sure we met. Also for the reason I'm not sure we met them. I don't think we need something for this cycle for this.
Okay, so no clear GA criteria.
Yes.
Do you know who's the owner? Maybe should someone be working on updating it?
You can put me
Okay.
as as temporary. I will while we figure out the next step. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Francesco.
All right. Moving on, daemon should support Mac search. Clayton. Clayton, you're on the call, or
I don't have context on this one. If anyone else does.
I agree we need to support the Mac search, but I don't think about the SIG Node. Again, this one also is SIG Node is not driver here, right? So this is more like the controller have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely support, and like to support the Mac search, we need to have some like the feedback loop, right? So they can make decision. But I think the control plane, API, mercenary, and we are maybe driving this the things we basically just support.
okay. All right. Moving on. Quotas for ephemeral storage.
Yeah, we want this one kernel support from day one. Yeah. So, Manu, do you know the Robert still on this one?
No, Robert isn't, and I don't think we'll have the capacity to take it on 125. We'll have to revisit, unless someone from the community wants to take it.
This one definitely will make the Kubernetes more efficient. Doing so many things, right? To using the really silly way to count, right? So the storage usage, and hopefully, but last time I checked, I still feel like we are missing something from the kernel, or maybe we have to do the bigger surgery on the how we are using the storage. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll take an action to figure out and add a comment, like, and then we can revisit it.
Sure, thanks.
Right. Kubernetes resource metrics endpoint. Oh, it's pretty old.
Yeah, this is an older thing. We did some, I think the Anana actually summarized what we have been done last many years. And the problem it is all those things we've been discussed and talk, but we didn't finish. So that's kind of a problem today here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the latest update. There doesn't seem to be any recent update on this one.
Is David still the owner for this one down? Should we?
I don't think that David
Okay.
can do that. So David did help the Alala to summarize that doc, share with the SIG Node community recently, right? So maybe we need Peter or maybe David, another David. Can we follow up on this one? And then we can see, at least we can follow up. I don't think we have bandwidth in one that can follow up.
Yeah, makes sense.
To see what kind of things we need to complete, right? So the Csi Metrics stats, actually, it is the one we all agree we want to move forward. The current, we are just missing some testing data, performance data. But then in that doc, we already do several things, but none of them is really finished. Maybe we need the signal, say, okay, here it is, we plan 1.26. we want 1.25, hopefully we can finish, move forward on the CSS stats, and 1.26, we want to do something. What's the next? Yeah.
Good question. What is the scope of like this KEP specifically? It's just the resource metrics API itself, or kind of what is the scope of this KEP?
Originally, this is when it is because Kubernetes have the monitoring endpoint, right? So we are using that monitoring endpoint together with the control plane specific the metrics all together. So end up we have so all the monitoring pipeline will be blocked by our development. But meanwhile, our endpoint also have the too many data. But then we are not a certified customer. The customer metrics, all those kind of other requirements for the monitoring purpose. So there's so many duplicate metrics, which is make Kubernetes and not Kubernetes node management overhead is too big. So originally we want this kind of things is we want to control. Like I say here, it is dedicated for the control plane and include of Kubernetes using and reduce those amount of the metrics there. And in the past, we have the bad name called the core metrics, but so we want to expose the new separate of the monitoring specific metrics from the control plane related endpoints. So that's the initiate we start, but so you can see that we did some of the work, but we're never finished. And but the situation changed because when we first discussed that one, a lot of the CRI metrics, all those kind of things is not there yet. So so things change. So this is why we need to revisit our decision direction. We finish certain things, maybe deprecate certain things. With a lot of things, it's just half finished.
It makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, we can review this one. I mean, I think one just comments is like, I believe this resource metrics API is already being used by autoscaler and all those things, right? So maybe we need to separate out kind of like the API perspective of the resource metrics API and see how we can graduate that and kind of have separate discussion for how those metrics are actually populated, right? Which is more of the CRI stats work, right? So maybe it's worth to separate those out. Okay, I can follow up with that one. Thanks.
Cool. All right, just gonna do a quick time check. Okay, we don't have 2 minutes left. Let's just go through them. Ephemeral containers.
I think we discussed this one, right? In the above.
I see a recent comment, so maybe we have to take this to GA, right? I see. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we target it for GA then.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Moving on. Fine-grained kubelet API validation.
Just a sec. We need reviewer approver for the previous one.
I can be the approver. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I can be reviewer since I already did before.
Okay. So back to this fine-grained kubelet API validation. Let's see. Echo said he's gonna start working on this KEP. Okay, still had no enough time to work on this. So yeah, looks like we might not have the capacity for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so defer it. Moving on. Kubelet and user namespace, rootless node.
I would say probably defer. This is the rootless mode, since we are going to get the other one.
Okay. So defer.
You don't think we need both?
I feel like Mike will get more mileage out of the one that you're targeting for alpha. Then this is like a second level problem.
Right. So
Yeah.
One user per pod over this says. Yeah.
No, this is like rootless, running everything rootless.
Yeah,
I just
right,
think there's
right,
just
right.
way too many edge cases.
Okay. Moving on. Setcomp, and we have one for enable setcomp by default. Let's see.
So this one, I think we are interested in taking it forward. So I'll sync with Sasha. Sasha should be the owner for setcomp by default.
Okay.
I can approve review. If anyone else wants to help out, happy to work with them. Mike, you want to review it since I know you were involved in this last time?
Yeah.
And we're not. Do you know if the one above it, the setcom, is the same thing or is it different?
Just a sec. I think that's like super old, 2016. We can delete that row.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
Ephemeral support.
So as far as I know, this is like not active unless like someone from the community wants to jump on it.
Okay. No recent discussion. No capacity to work on this. Yep. No recent update.
Can you put a note there, and I will follow up with the team Eau Claire on this one. Yeah. Because the people already started using, we may be just closure on this one, and
Okay.
there are some extension. Original team Eau Claire want to make the usability improve. Looks like we also don't have demand on that approval. Maybe we just call closure on this one. Yeah.
Dan, I put our name as you mentioned to follow up on that one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. Right. Okay. Speed up recursive. Linux label change.
So I think like SIG storage is driving it, and we are more in a supporting role. Peter, do you have any more detail on this one?
No, I haven't heard from Mont or Jan, but I mean, they targeted 1.25. So, I mean, I can be the SIG node contact for this, and then,
okay, yeah.
But it'll mostly be SIG storage.
Yep.
All right. Storage. Cool. Let's move on. Warn about quarterly insecure container UID GIDs. Okay.
Probably needs. Okay, so Tim removed the stale label. So is he intending to work on it, or have someone work on it? Maybe Don, a question for you.
Yeah. Let me follow up on this one. Yes.
Okay.
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 I don't have detail on this one.
Okay. Okay. So the next one, we are actively working on it. Like, we had a doc forever saying that the Plex should be evented. So Harshal and Ryan and team are working on it. They have some initial code. Ryan, you wanna like, do you think we may be able to land an alpha? Do you?
I worry about the API changes for the CRI, but at the minimum, we can get the CRI API formalized and hopefully get some alpha code around it upstream.
Okay, so I think maybe let's come back to SIG Node and describe what's happening maybe next week or the week after.
Okay.
We try to make progress, even if maybe it's not targeted as the alpha, but
exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. I guess if there's a link to any cap or issue, maybe we can just paste a link here as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Graduate CPU manager, device manager to GA. Francesco, you're the owner for both.
Yes. So basically, those two features are beta from ages. So I think it's time to propose and discuss if we want to move to GA. I believe from myself that except guarantee that we have end-to-end test coverage and test coverage, it should be straightforward. So here we are. Device manager is so old, it doesn't even have a cap, proper cap, it seems to me.
Well, this device manager, we have this deallocate part, which might trigger a better to revision to it rather than GA.
Okay, we can postpone and start with CPU manager maybe.
It's better to talk with Kevin about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was about to suggest to tentatively put Kevin as reviewer, and I will get in touch. I need to talk with him anyway. I think CPU manager should be okay. Device manager, good point.
Yeah, so Francisco or Alexandra, can you help to follow up, then come back to
Yes.
Yeah, just for the clean up, we maybe want to call a closure on those open. And so, yeah.
Absolutely, thanks.
Okay. All right, I guess that's all of the well, caps. We've finally finished all of them, and there are some general proposals, and I don't think we have time today to go through them. So I think we can just well, call it a day. Yeah, after the meeting, I will send an email just to well, quickly recap the planning and let people know if there and let them know if there's any action items on them.
Yeah, and then I think Riven, maybe two of us can sync and we can clean up the table, like what actually is in 125 and what is not.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I'll sync with you offline.
Yep. And also normally release team is going to share the spreadsheet with us. So please make sure what we agree upon, at least we committed and reflect in our grand spreadsheet there. And so they can follow us, right? So they can keep the ball rolling. So
yeah,
thanks.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, we can follow up and then give our team and community report back. Many of us have the to do here. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks all.
All right, bye now.